Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Su.
Welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm your host, Eric Su.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about how to decide if you need separate brands for your business ideas or business. So why don't we get started? Neil, I know you have quite a bit of experience in here.
If you're creating different products and they're not related, then of course they should be separate brands. But I'm a big believer that you should try to stick with one brand as much as possible. I know I haven't done that. I think it's a huge mistake. When you build up so much juice into one website, traffic, social shares, fan pages, SEO rankings, email lists, why would you want to have to do it all over again? I believe that's the hardest part in building an online business. For that reason, I try to keep each business under one brand. And I think just having too many of them makes it hard. And there's also a flip side too. If it's really different on a product perspective, then you're going to run into issues because it creates brand confusion. But if the products are really similar, why not have it all under one brand?
I think we can do a deep dive here because I think about what you've done with QuickSprout. So QuickSprout is Neil's original blog, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. You have your tool, you have your blog, and then I believe there's a consulting link, and you also have your courses or your university, or maybe you've taken that off. But to me, my opinion here is that it seemed with QuickSprout, there's just a lot of stuff going on, and it perhaps came off confusing. Whereas if I look at Hello Bar, if I look at Crazy Egg and other companies that you have, it's a little less confusing because you have so much other stuff because it's separated. I know like each brand and what they do exactly. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, if you're going to have too many sections on a site, it does get confusing. But when you look at QuickSprout and my other brands, I didn't plan it that way. It just happened. So think of it this way. I started QuickSprout because I had the domain name and I wanted to blog about marketing. Then I had neilpatel.com, which is separate. And I did that because with neilpatel.com, I didn't own the domain name when I started QuickSprout. If that was the case, there would be no QuickSprout and it would just all be on neilpatel.com. As for like Crazy Egg and Kissmetrics, Crazy Egg and Kissmetrics are different products. I couldn't use QuickSprout to promote Crazy Egg, like combine them into one because it's too confusing. Crazy Egg is purely on CRO, optimization, A/B testing, stuff like that. QuickSprout, the goal is to teach you how to get more visitors to your website. Crazy Egg, the goal is to teach you how to convert visitors into customers. So it really comes up to you and a preference. I want really specific sites, but I made a big mistake. And I think the biggest mistake, which isn't necessarily if you should create multiple brands or one brand, it's should I create all these businesses? And that's what happens. A lot of people are like, oh, should I have multiple brands? Well, whatever brand you have, do you really need to add another brand or more products or more services? Because if your current product or brand is growing fast enough, why would you switch resources or switch focus? And I learned this from Brian Lee. He's the co-founder of LegalZoom and Honest, a company with Jessica Alba. And he told me, I don't know him well at all. I don't even really know him. But over email, he once told me when I was interviewing him that you should focus on your core business. The moment it flatlines, that's when you should consider expanding, maybe creating new product lines, new brands. But till then, you should focus on the main one.
Great. And, I can do an experience share here with Growth Everywhere and Single Grain. So Growth Everywhere, I started at the same time that I started at Single Grain. And that was just where I would pay it forward, have these marketing interviews. And at the same time I was starting it, people at Single Grain were asking like, hey, how are you going to integrate Growth Everywhere with Single Grain? And my thoughts were, I'm keeping them completely separate, but at the same time, I didn't really realize that Growth Everywhere is really an asset to Single Grain. And nowadays, they're a lot closer because Growth Everywhere actually does drive business leads for Single Grain. And, people that know Single Grain, more or less know what Growth Everywhere is. It wasn't always like that. And to be honest, it was confusing to kind of keep them separate. Some people from Growth Everywhere would be like, oh, is this all you do? You just do the interview stuff. So I'm finding it a lot easier to kind of have them a lot closer now, even though they're not exactly the same brand. So, my feedback would be, you keep them together. And what Neil touched upon earlier upon talking about keeping all the SEO equity, all the traffic, everything that you've built up, keeping it in one spot is pretty good, because it's really hard from an SEO's perspective to really build up that domain authority. It takes a lot of time. And really, when you start from scratch, it makes things really hard. I mean, let's just take a look at neilpatel.com. Neil's been doing that for last couple of years, but, in the early days of starting up that one, it took quite a while, right, Neil?
It did. It took a long time. It probably took over a year. The other thing to ask yourself too, and I get this question a lot, is should you have a separate brand for your company blog and your personal blog, or should it be the same? Like, what should you do? A lot of people should I even have a personal blog? Should I have a corporate blog only? Should I have both? And I'm a big believer you should just stick with one. There's barely enough time in the day to be blogging on multiple sites. I know I do it, but in general, most people can't keep up with it. I would stick with a corporate blog. You can sell a corporate blog. I can sell QuickSprout. I can't sell neilpatel.com. It would be too hard. No one's going to want to buy it because the moment I leave, it's useless. It's my name.
That's smart. Okay. Well, let's say, somebody is building out let's say you're building a new tool right now on QuickSprout. So are you saying that you would keep it under the QuickSprout name, or would you make a new name? Because I still see people around me continuing to, sprout out new businesses in addition to kind of what they have.
I would just keep it under the existing name of QuickSprout. And here's the reason being. It's really hard to build up an audience. So once you have an audience, why would you just create new products when you can just put it on the same domain name, leverage that audience, and generate the sales? Yes, you can also say, hey, I can take that audience and push them to another website, but the conversion rate's not the same. So you have to figure out, when you have a website that has traffic like I do with QuickSprout.com, because I put in so many years into it, what do you want to do with it? There's so many options. You can't do 10 different things. You got to pick a few, stick with them, and just go for it.
Love it. All right. So that's it for this episode of Marketing School. We'll see you in tomorrow's. Let us know what you think.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.